Now I'm giving away all my tricks.
Yeah. Okay, we're
really
back. Okay, we will resume. We are on 7.7 online programming. So this is Charlie.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is an ever evolving item. So we had a good discussion with our administrators at our last admin meeting around this item. Now, there is a lot of uncertainty around next year, as everyone can imagine. We don't know the state of COVID. We don't know, where students will be with vaccinations. We do know that, children under the age of 18 are now in part of the clinical trials with all the major vaccine providers. But I think there's two things that came out of that meeting. One was that administrators aren't real comfortable with offering a K-3 program. It's not ruled out, but that was one of the things that they told us. The other thing that we're moving forward with is what we'll call a soft survey. So we have 514 online students, and we have sent a survey. It's been out for a week. It'll be a week tomorrow, asking those families 3 questions. Do you want to stay online next year, no matter the state of COVID? So they just prefer an online program. Number 2, do you plan to return in person? Or number 3, you're not sure. It will depend on COVID. So that survey has been out for 6 days. We've had 140 responses to date. Of those 140 responses, 23.6% of those families want an online program. It's 33 students, one of the two. There are 30.7% of the families that say they're going back no matter what. And then 45.7% of families say it depends on the state of COVID. So really the purpose of the soft survey is to see if there's enough interest no matter what. If there isn't, then we won't even consider offering an online program. If the trend continues, and a lot of people say it depends on the state of COVID, we'll need to see where we're at later on in the year. It's too early to lock people into that. So the overwhelming majority of these parents are saying it depends on the state of COVID. So what we anticipate is that we would have to run a survey from June until mid-August. This is where we're at right now, if we proceed. And again, it'll depend on the survey. It closes on March 25th. If we decide, there is enough interest to run a program, then we would do a formal survey where parents would lock in by August 12th, as an example. So June 1, August 12th. And then after that, say on August 13th, they want to switch out. They're kind of locked in because we're going to staff the school appropriately. We do know that there are all kinds of administrative implications of offering a school. It won't be as we offered it this year. Absolutely. Like we can't have, for example, Chris Zarsky being a director full-time and the principal of the online school full-time. So those are some of the things that we know, and we've put all those considerations together and shared that with administration. But right now, we're just in the middle of this, soft survey where we've asked parents to let us know their thoughts, their intentions, but it's not an indication or an intention where they have to lock it in. So that's where we're at. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from Trustee Eflin?
So we had 140 responses, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Survey is open till March when? 27?
25th.
25th. Okay. Yeah. Will be a tough decision to make, I would say, until we get most of the data on the 25th, and then that will give you a very clear direction, I'm assuming. Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Charlie. Yeah, it is a hard call right now for sure. And everybody is just trying to see what the best, what COVID is going to do, I guess. Okay, thank you for informing us about that. 7.8, Edwin Parr Award.
So thank you, Madam Chair. So as Trustee Tugwood knows, she's on the committee. The Edwin Parr is a trustee award named after a former trustee in Athabasca. And each year we have school administrators nominate first-year teachers they feel are most deserving of the award. So we're happy to report to the board that the recipient this year is Kira Romans from École Notre Dame. And Kira is a half-time kindergarten teacher and a 0.4 fine arts teacher. She demonstrates excellence beyond her years in many areas, including technology, inclusive education, classroom management, promoting student engagement, and sharing First Nation, Métis, and Inuit knowledge. I thought it was interesting. One of the things she's doing in music is teaching them some songs in Cree, so she's really going above and beyond in that dimension. Kira states she has two highlights from her year so far. One is working with the amazing staff at École Notre Dame, and the second one is witnessing the growth in her kindergarten students. And, those of us who've taught for a while know that at that age, they really do come a long way. So, and that is definitely most exciting for a teacher. So again, we have notified her of the fact that this will be coming to the board for acknowledgement. And we will be forwarding this package off to ASBA before week's end with all the required documentation. So yeah, I'm happy to report it's Kira Romans who will be receiving that. And again, just like the Excellence in Catholic Education Award, we will be doing a bit of a press release on this one as well.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, congratulations to her. That's so exciting. And these new teachers that they haven't really experienced regular teaching yet. So good for them and how hard they're working. Trustee Tugwood?
I'm quite excited about being on the committee this year. I'm looking forward to reading all these resumes. It's going to be hard to decide, I imagine, but we got some wonderful new teachers. As you said, this is a whole different world. They've emerged and they've done wonderful, wonderful things. Charlie, will this be going on Twitter and our website? Probably Caitlin will be putting that on.
Yeah, when we release our press releases, we usually push them through our websites and our social media feeds.
Okay, I'll be sure to retweet. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. 7.9, Catholic Education Week. So we're going to just talk briefly about Catholic Education Week. I don't think we have the actual dates there, but there will be some communication and some media around that week. But I was wondering, for the activities, sorry, Caitlin, I'm not sure what we did last year. I'm trying to remember, but I'm sure you had a plan from last year. But there are a lot of resources with Grace that we could use or ask the schools to use. So there is, they're called the 12 dynamic, sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess, and I apologize for just interjecting myself into this conversation at this point, but as CCSSA executive, we did meet with ACSTA.
Okay.
And my understanding is that Eugenia was going to bring the communications directors together to kind of get a bit of a brainstorm, but I think they were wanting to focus on the 5 marks and doing one each day. But I know that she was going to bring everyone together, so I'm not sure if we want to wait and kind of take the lead from ACSTA. So I just, sorry to interject that, but that's what.
No, that's perfect. I think I might have seen that somewhere in a communication as well. Now that you say that, that makes total sense that it should be a coordinated effort. But we do.
I just reported that. Reported that, and I said I thought Caitlin should be waiting for the invite, right? Because
you did. And I was kind of thinking election stuff, but
No,
it
no.
includes Catholic Education Week too.
Education,
Yeah.
and then election kit, that is all coming.
Yeah,
So then that is
yeah.
very
So
well
it-
coordinated and promoted.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it makes
Me-
sense. And honestly, I seen that communication as well. So it's just
Mhm.
coming back to me now
What,
into the
what you
memory
s-
bank.
yeah, what you saw, I shared that, I believe, yesterday or the day before, was Ontario have their package ready,
Yes.
and it's on their site for their use, because they are on the roll for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So do we need to do anything else? I guess we can just get an update next month.
I believe so. Yeah, we don't have to do anything. Wait until that meeting, so then
Yeah.
everything is coordinated.
Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we had put it on this agenda because it's such a small window. So
Yeah.
if everyone's okay, we'll kind of plan to take the lead from ACSTA and Grace. And if you're okay with that, then we'll put that in motion. And then we're not kind of seeking permission or direction at the next board meeting. Is that all right with people?
I believe
makes-
so.
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah. Okay, well, that sounds good. That was an easy one to get through. Thank you, Caitlin and Charlie. Caitlin, I just can't imagine how much you have going on all the time. Okay, 7.10, our COSC agenda. So this is our school council's agenda. So this is just a draft, and if it's there, we'll just share it quickly. If we can have a look at it.
Just give me 1 second to bring it back up.
So these are just some items that we put together. We don't know if it's enough or if it's too much, or if trustees have some different ideas. We usually have had the COSC meeting in the fall, and it's been more of a support for school council on the work that they do. So this is a very different, just a very different agenda. I guess the zone number 5, there's zone 2-3 policy statements at the ASBA zone meeting on Friday. If there is anything coming forward, then we can inform school councils at that time. As well, Charlie sent a note out, just a doodle to all the school council chairs, just wondering what time would work best for them, 4:30 or 6:30. Because we recognize that, and actually it was a couple of other parents that mentioned the 4:30 start time might be difficult for parents and school councils. So, sorry, I'm just going to put my microphone on mute for a moment. Sorry, sometimes it seems like there's so many rings on my phone. I think it's going to stop and then it keeps going. Okay, so anyhow, Charlie, did you get a response on a time preference?
So, Madam Chair, I guess what I would speak to the time is the trustees did select 4:30 originally. That was communicated out to school administrators, and we did survey the school council chairs. And unfortunately, it's a 50-50 split.
Again.
Half of them want to leave it as is, and half want to move the time. So, I guess out of respect for administrators and the work they do, our preference would be 4:30. But that again, that is your decision. But the survey didn't yield any further preference.
Yeah, and then what about responses to actually attend? Do we have the attendance yet, or?
I don't know the exact number, but I could check on that. And we did ask them RSVP. Right now, I believe it's 4.
Yeah, okay. That will just make a difference on the agenda too, like how we manage the agenda. So anyhow, just getting back to the agenda is, does this look like something that will be good discussion? Do we want to send the agenda out to school councils and get their input?
Madam Chair, I believe this is enough agenda considering even the split on there. I would say send it out, see if there are any additions or omissions that could come back with it. Then it's a fair game. Everybody is aware. And then we stick to the 4:30 because like Charlie said, you know, out of respect for admin, that it's going to be a long day. Let's have it, you know, shorter for them because everything COVID is just stressful and ongoing. So the shorter we can keep things right now until we gain some normalcy come the future, we should be taking those opportunities.
Okay, does anybody else have a comment about that? So right now, send the agenda out as is, ask for any feedback. If they don't understand something or they want something off or they want to add something, then we'll take that feedback for sure. And it sounds like we'll stick to the 4:30 time. Okay. Okay, risk management. So I believe all trustees did do the risk management modules for on the ASBA Learning Center. So just wondering your thoughts. Should we move forward with it? Is it something, you know, a good practice to start? And I know Charlie and Ed did the modules as well. So just opening it up for some feedback.
I mean,
Trustee
Madam Chair, yeah.
Yep.
Madam Chair, it looks like I'm taking over the floor every time I turn around.
No, that's okay.
It's a very good module, right? It talks about your own personal biases that come with some of these, and we all have different tolerance to take risks and all of that. So I believe if we've all read it, then we should be able to move forward, right? Because that gives you a sense as to how you make some of these decisions that are going to be coming. Thank you.
Okay, so I think the piece for this was actually doing a risk assessment of the division, the way that it was set out in that module, like going forward, and then where that would lie, like under which committee. And it kind of made sense that it would be the audit committee, which right now is the whole board, but maybe that's going to change in the fall. I'm not sure, but anyhow, okay, so that's thank you, Trustee Effon. Trustee Tugwood, did you have a comment on moving forward?
Dan has comment.
Okay,
And
go ahead. Trustee.
I thought the modules were very well put together, and yeah, they were a bit it took a little while to get through them, but I liked at the end that there was like a quiz at the end because I wrote it, thought I knew it, thought I knew my stuff. I didn't, so I had to go back and do it again. So it was. I think it's very well put together.
Okay. And your thoughts about moving forward and actually adopting?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. No,
process?
it's really
Yeah.
because I did the next module after that, and it was just as good. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Trustee Tugwood.
I also thought it was put together very well. It did take us a few hours and there was lots that I learned that I did not know. I did not know that I didn't know. So I think, yes, it's full steam ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead
Thank
with
you.
that.
Trustee Sirwa.
Yes, I felt it was very good and very thorough, and yeah, we can adopt that.
Okay. Thank you. And Charlie and Ed, your thoughts on process to go forward? Charlie, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess a couple of things come to mind as far as the timeline goes. There's some that work can be done by the audit committee before the end of June. That is option one. There's also waiting for the new board. That could be an option two. Then everybody's kind of in the process. But one thing that you may or may not recall, and I'd like to bring to the attention of the board, and that is 2 years ago, the auditor asked that administration do a bit of a risk assessment. So Ed and his team have completed that. And that is a report that could be provided to the board. And it could be a starting point to kind of see what we have done as an administration. Maybe that is part of information you wish to review before kind of deciding on a next step. But there's been quite a bit of work done by Ed and his team on that. So I just provide that as information. Ed, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that sums it up, is that it was a requirement from the management letter from 2 years ago that we looking at our risk assessment. The auditors provided us with a tool and a kind of an outline in terms of what areas to focus on. Predominantly, it focuses on financial transactions, asset, and technology. There's other areas of risk management, but primarily those are the ones where that questionnaire and the survey that financial services put together, talking with the tech department and looking at our own processes within the division in terms of assessing kind of the level of risks and what mitigation strategies we already have in place.
Okay. So how did you find the modules, Ed? Were they thorough and what you would expect?
Yeah, I thought they were very, very high level thinking in terms of what the perspective was. Again, it's a matter of what do you want to see as process and understanding that at the end of the day, you want to be aware of what your risk areas are. Is it a report to the board about that risk management, or is it actually an activity of trustees? If it's the audit committee, it also includes your public members in terms of reviewing that, whether it's reviewing a report or creating a document. I'm not sure the direction. To me, it always tried to keep it fairly high level from ASBA. So to me, it was, again, a similar stance to what we talked about with regards to insurance, is looking at a reporting aspect from administration, and it might be more of, well, who reviews that report kind of with a knowledgeable eye. I think it's great that all the trustees have had it, because all the trustees sit on the audit committee, and perhaps your public members will also add some perspective to interpreting and evaluating kind of the risk assessment report. But again, my question is does that where you want to be is at that higher level where you're receiving a report and not so much and saying and analyzing it and saying there are some areas that maybe we're short on that we need to, and I'm going to be quite honest, if we're going to address something, then we're going to need resources to address it. And the other thing is how do those activities factor into your strategic plan overall? Because we can't just keep adding things on. Our resources are finite, both in terms of personnel and dollars. So, like I said, administratively, we can provide that report and update it on a go forward basis for oversight purposes. But I'm not sure if you want to have a committee actually doing the work of analysis and surveying and following up in terms of the level of being into the weeds, so to speak. But the modules and everything else was well done, I thought. But again, it was, to me, I was coming around. They tried to keep it high level. They give you lots of background information so you understand the concepts. But I'm not sure if as trustees you want to be in the depth of dealing with the detail. You want to have an awareness of what the detail is behind some of the concepts.
Okay, well, I do like what Charlie suggested there. Just seeing the report, the last report, and then decide on a starting point, or use that as our starting point and decide, how much farther we want to go with it, and how much of the job is, or is it ours just for oversight? And there's certain things that are updated and reported on. Is there anything to add? Sort of thing. I guess that's what sounds good to start with. Charlie, go ahead.
So thank you for that, Madam Chair. I guess, so then further to that, the question may be for Ed or for you as trustees, but is this something that you want to see on the next agenda? Or Ed, is that even something that can be in a public meeting, or is that information sensitive in nature to where it has to be outside of the public meeting?
I would recommend it that it is outside of the public meeting, just because it speaks to some of the things, or if there's questions about some of the details about what we do, especially in the area of technology and those type of things, I prefer that those things be kept be protected, because I don't want it out in the open and then it's used against us.
That makes sense.
Madam Chair. can I say something?
Go ahead, Trustee Sirois.
Yes, I just wanted to say that was a very good point that you brought up. And it is very high level. So I'm not sure if we should adapt that going forward.
So we'll start with what we have so far and make that our starting point. Does that sound reasonable with everybody? Okay. So that would be an in-camera session for next meeting?
I guess I would ask the question, is it in camera? Especially, and Ed could maybe give us some idea of how long it would take to review that document. But if we're starting to get to be quite lengthy, say an hour or so, is that appropriate to go on camera for that amount of time in a public meeting, or is it best as a committee of the whole item?
Yeah.
So we can decide that, with our agenda prep next month.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's keep it that way then. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. 7.12 we already touched on, so I'm not going to say any more about that. I actually had it in my mind that there might be another draft for us to look at. But really, we won't see the draft until Friday at our zone meeting. So can't really do much more on that. So 7.13, it's a presentation by Claire. So probably we should take a 5-minute break before, or how long is her presentation, Charlie?
So her presentation was to be 15 minutes, as I understand it. Is that correct, Lori? Yes. So would we like to take a 5-minute break, Lori, so we can get Claire on?
Yeah, I did message her, so she should be coming in right away, but 5 minutes would be good just so she can get set up.
It won't be